Elias felt lost, alone, like a ship adrift on a vast, empty sea. Days bled into weeks, each one indistinguishable from the last. His small apartment felt like a cage, the silence a constant weight on his chest. Work offered no solace, only a temporary escape from the hollowness that had consumed him. He ate alone, his meals tasteless and joyless. He slept little, haunted by regrets and what-ifs. The world outside his window seemed to vibrate with life, a stark contrast to the emptiness he felt within. Elias had become a ghost, a shadow of the man he once was. He longed for connection, for someone to see him, to hear him. But the words wouldn't come. Years of unspoken pain and resentment had built a wall around his heart, a fortress that kept everyone at bay, including himself. Elias's isolation was not a sudden storm, but a slow, steady erosion of his spirit. It began with the loss of his father, a man he idolized, taken too soon by a cruel twist of fate. Then came the strained silence with his mother, the unspoken words and buried grief driving a wedge between them. His marriage crumbled under the weight of their shared sorrow, leaving him with nothing but shattered promises and a heart heavy with guilt. He retreated further into himself, seeking solace in solitude, finding only a deeper despair. He had loved and been loved, but the pain of loss had become his only companion. He carried the memories like stones in his pockets, weighing him down, dragging him deeper into the abyss of despair. One evening, as Elias sifted through his late grandmother's belongings, a glimmer of hope appeared. Tucked away in a dusty corner of her attic, he found a small, leather-bound book. It was her Bible, its pages worn soft with years of use. He remembered her gentle hands, her unwavering faith, the quiet strength she carried in her heart. He could almost hear her voice, filled with love and wisdom, reading to him from its pages. A wave of nostalgia washed over him, a bittersweet ache for a time when life seemed simpler, when faith offered comfort and guidance. He ran his fingers over the worn leather, hesitant at first. It had been years since he had opened a Bible, years since he had allowed himself to believe in anything beyond the tangible, the visible. But something about the book, about the memories it held, drew him in. Section 4. The Words of Hope. He opened the Bible, his heart pounding in his chest. The words seemed unfamiliar at first, like a language he had once known but forgotten. As he read, slowly at first, then, with growing intensity, he felt a flicker of recognition. The words spoke of hope in the face of despair, of forgiveness for past mistakes, of love that transcended pain and loss. He read of a God who saw him, who heard his silent cries, who offered him a lifeline in the midst of his storm. He began to read every day, each word a balm to his wounded soul. The verses resonated deep within him, awakening a long-dormant faith, a glimmer of hope in the darkness that had enveloped him. Section 5. Reaching Out. The words of the Bible began to seep into Elias's daily life. He found himself reaching out tentatively at first to those he had pushed away. He called his mother, the conversation filled with awkward silences, but a start nonetheless. He sought out old friends, apologizing for his absence, for the wall he had built around himself. He began attending a local church, drawn by the warmth and sense of community he found there. It wasn't easy. Old wounds ran deep, and trust, once broken, was a fragile thing to rebuild. But with each step, each act of courage and vulnerability, Elias felt the wall around his heart begin to crumble. Section 6. Finding Home. As Elias embraced his newfound faith, he found a peace he had never known. He discovered that forgiveness, both for himself and others, was the key to unlocking the chains that had bound him for so long. He learned to let go of the past, to embrace the present, and to face the future with hope. The isolation that had once defined him was replaced by a sense of belonging, of being part of something larger than himself. He found joy in the simple things, a shared meal, a kind word, the beauty of a sunrise.